Okay, so I am going to tell another story which seems made up, but I promise you it's very true. If you've ever worked in a call center, when you call 1-800, whatever, somebody's on the other end and they pick up. You, as a member of the public, probably think that those people have boring experiences and are assholes because they never do what you want them to do. But as somebody who worked in call centers, I can tell you it's not boring because the general public is full of crazy people. So, I work at the AARP call center, which is in Washington, D.C. I got a job there after I dropped out of grad school and after I left my long and fabulous career at Safeway. So, this is when I first started working there, and I'm, just a call center agent. Oftentimes, and we all sat in, one big room. I guess at the AARP center there were like four different floors, but you had colleagues around you, and we would often repeat back for clarity what the person on the other end was saying, but also to amuse our fellow call center workers, because more often than not, it was a crazy old person. Sorry, old people, but you have some crazy stories. And so we were like, oh, so you think that AARP is in cahoots with the Clintons to socialize medicine? That was a real popular thing. Or so AARP is controlling the weather in Alaska, is it? When did this start exactly? So those kinds of things. So one evening I get a phone call from this lady, and this is how the call goes. I'm going to try to remember because it was a long time ago, but the gist of the story is true, I promise you. So I'm like, AARP, this is Keith, how may I help you? And the lady on the other end was calling from the South. I don't remember where exactly. Let's say Tennessee. And she's like, well, uh, I understand that AARP can help me in cases of age discrimination. And I was like, well, we could certainly listen to your story. And if there is a case, we can refer you to an attorney who gives AARP members discounts, something like that. Why don't you tell me what's going on? I say, because I can tell from her accent and her breathy approach that there was something amiss and it would be entertaining. She goes, well, I believe that I am being discriminated against because I cannot get a job. I have tried at the Hardee's, I have tried at the 7-Eleven, and I even started my search at the bowling alley. And I was like, the bowling alley? She's like, yes, and I think that the bowling alley is trying to keep me as an old person from getting a job. I was like, okay, well, what happened at the bowling alley? She said, well, I go in for this job. It's like a front desk job answering the phones and whatnot. And I'm interviewing with this gal. She's a little heavy. And the girl leaves and she goes, take care of the phones while I'm gone. And she gets up and she goes. I said, okay, they hadn't hired you yet. She's like, no, and I don't know how to operate their phones. And the phone started ringing, the lights started flashing, the beep started beeping. And the girl comes back and she goes, get out of here. You don't know what you're doing. And I left. And I know the Lord says vengeance is mine. But Sally Jesse, and I said, Sally Jesse? She goes, Sally Jesse Raphael. I was like, Sally Jesse? What did she say? She said, you could get a dig in if someone did you wrong. And I said, get a dig in? She goes, get back at her, sweetie. So I got home and I called the bowling alley up, and that young girl answered. I said, listen here, fatty. Remember, she's a little heavy. There is a bomb in the bowling alley, and it's going to blow up. And I said, what? And she goes, I know. She starts crying again. The Lord says vengeance is mine, but I had to get that dig in. And I said, okay, but what does this have to do with the Hardys? She goes, well, the Hardys asked why I didn't get the job at the bowling alley, and I told them this story. And I said, well, and I thought to myself, I might be aiding and abetting a criminal if I say anything. So I said, well, just don't tell this story again. She goes, well, you know what? That's probably a smart idea. Usually we would ask for their last name and zip code so that we could track the call to their membership, but I didn't want her to think that I was in cahoots with the bowling alley and keeping her from getting a job, so I didn't do that. I didn't track the call, so there's no real evidence that this happened, except for my colleagues who were gathered around laughing their asses off. That's my story of a bomb in the bowling alley.